has to come. Let's actually redo the entrance. Um, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I'll start.
Sweet.
Hello, people. This is the LIS Podcast, LIS, Life in Sport. Honored to be here, honored to start, and can't wait to tell you what we're about.
If he failed to mention, his name is T, short for Tarek, and my name's Bo, short for Boyan, and this is LIS, and we are currently recording it from the sofa in the annex.
I thought that was an important thing to mention.
The fact that we're on a sofa in the annex, or the fact that your name's Tarek and my name's Boyan?
I don't know. They're both quite equally important.
No, that is true. That is true. I shaved for this first episode because it's great because you have the good definition, like high definition volume from the microphones, and then the 4K that's been recorded from the phone can see how nice my mustache is.
It's a great moustache. Once you whack a bit of wax in it, go Salvador Dali style, you get me like.
I tried putting Vaseline in it, but it just didn't have the same effect.
You need the wax, bro.
I need the proper strong stuff.
Yeah.
I need the thing people use for their hair. I don't know what that is though because I'm bald, so it's fine. I feel like Bradley Martin just without the strength.
Okay, so getting into the nitty gritty of what we're about, we are two avid sports players, sports watchers, sporting backgrounds. I studied sports science. That's what I'm into. I'm going a bit. But yeah, so life in sport essentially is where ambition meets well-being. It's how we want to shine a light on different aspects of sport, from player-wise to coaching-wise to anything in between, and how your life is affected by your sport and how your sport affects the kind of life you live, in a way.
In a way, because a lot of the time through social media and through actual like television, we see how a lot of pro athletes, the key term pro, are able to sustain such like high lifestyles where they can, go on massive trips, they can do whatever they like, and they seem to be perfectly fine 24/7. And in reality, when you get down to the deep core of it, a lot of players are having internal struggles, not just with, the fact that they're getting paid millions and millions of pounds, but also some players get addictions, from addicting to being gamblers, to being alcoholics, to drugs and everything. And it's not just in the pro level, it's also seen in the amateur sport too, where a lot of the social aspect comes from having heavy binges on the weekend with your mates after a game, to, from one thing leading to another, where even drugs become more prevalent within sports, but not just drugs being sports enhancing drugs, not just like steroids, but more like
Recreational, innit?
exactly like cocaine, everything like that. Because with the advancement in civilization, drugs are becoming a more easier, more finite source of recreation. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah. I feel like obviously there is the flashy lifestyle of the athlete, as Bo mentioned, and obviously we don't see the full picture of anything realistically, and it probably would be difficult for that to be disclosed, but from an amateur point of view, it's also a big commitment, mate. Like, and there's a lot of players that will play their sport at a high level, whether they get paid or not, but at a high level. And it's not enough to pay the bills and keep you afloat. But it's still something you do as a hobby, but it's become more than a hobby. So it's like you're sort of in that in between, and I feel like that has a massive impact on the individual. And obviously, like, I feel like it's not a spoken about area. But I mean, in terms of, we're not even just talking about players, we're talking about the coaching side of things, the, secretary.
Yeah, well, coaches, before they actually get to the pro level, like I say, if we take rugby into account, if we don't go up to like level 5 and above, so let's say the old national 3 level, everyone below that, coaches don't really get paid. They just do it for the love of it. They wouldn't say waste, But sometimes they waste hours on ends just, trying to pick a team, trying to select people. And they do things that coaches don't normally have to do. You don't have professional coaches going to players and begging them to play on the weekend.
Mm.
When was the last time, for example, your team Sevilla, they had to beg a player to be like, oh, mate, look, we're actually down like 4 players this weekend. Can you please play this weekend?
Let's to put a bit of context into this. We're both rugby players or rugby background. Bo here plays level 6. He gets paid a bit of money, but obviously
Just a tiny bit, not
just
too much.
like
Enough to buy a Tesco meal deal on the weekend as long as I use my club card.
Okay, yeah. So Bo gets paid a bit of money, but Bo also works full time. But Bo plays a level where the team is ambitious and they want to move forward and progress, both as a club and with the players that they have. And I feel like there's a lot to talk about in that aspect, because I mean, as Bo said, with the coaches having to contact players and whatnot, like, at the end of the day, we're humans that not everyone is cut out to make it as a professional athlete, especially in the elite level. Yeah, like, us humans work normal jobs, and then to play a sport as physically demanding as rugby, where your chances of injury is high. I mean, realistically, it's a lot to ask of someone. You have to have a pure love for the game, which is mental, because I mean, it's a sport where you can easily get hurt. It's a sport where you can easily get a life-changing, life-altering injury. Like, it sounds like an exaggeration, but it's the reality. Like, whether it's that you break a leg or whether you do something that changes how you are physically for the rest of your life. And, there's a lot of, like, that's just one side of it.
But we can progress on that as well, because even though athletes at every level get injured,
Of
but
course.
if you're a professional athlete, you have a whole team backing you up because you're getting paid X amount of money to play for that team. So that team want you to recover as fast as possible. Whilst an amateur player, they don't have a team backing them financially. They might be there emotionally and physically and be like, yes, mate, I'll be there for you. If you need me, give me a bell, this, that, the other. But an amateur player, regardless of what sport, if they get hurt, they won't have the team sinking money into their rehabilitation. It will be, look, mate, we're sorry you got injured. Hopefully the insurance money can give you a hand with that.
Hopefully we see you playing again soon.
Basically, that is one of the most common things to hear. Hopefully we see you playing against. Hopefully this injury that might alter the way you walk for the next lifetime won't deter you from coming back to the sport. But even then, you have professional athletes who have, let's say, Antonio Brown, American football.
Okay, I was going to ask you who that was.
So Antonio Brown, if a lot of you haven't seen, was about two years ago. He had a complete mental breakdown. That's what people are speculating he had. He had his personality wasn't his normal personality, and that can be linked to him playing American football, because the seasons prior, he was getting a lot of headshots, a lot of shoulders to head, a lot of, being knocked out, being concussed, and being basically put in a state where you can't think straight. He got moved to many teams, and he just kept doing things which weren't characteristically what he does.
Do you mean on the pitch?
On and off the pitch. He took a hot air balloon to training.
Oh, nice.
As you do.
Yeah.
He then, well, you know how a lot of pro athletes, when they in the heat of the moment, they get really upset and they throw a tantrum. His tantrum, basically, he didn't want to play anymore. He got taken off the pitch and he had a temper tantrum, and so he threw off his American football pads, threw him to the floor, and basically started running around the stadium, just like like a child trying to gain attention. But we can't say, oh, that's him being narcissistic, wanting to have attention. It's him obviously having a mental breakdown, having issues we could speculate it's from being hit in the head several times. You know, CTE does do that. You know, doesn't just make you, you know, down and stuff. It just changes your personality.
Why don't we clarify for the listener or the viewer
What CTE is?
what CTE is?
I don't want to get it wrong, and since you're
Do
the
a quick
sports,
Google search.
do a quick Google search.
Yeah,
We want to
let's
get the
just-
proper definition of it.
Let's just verify this.
As you can
because
see, we have a topic of which we choose, and then we just kind of go on the fly of whatever we're talking about, but staying within topic.
chronic traumatic. I can't read that last word.
CTE,
Oh,
chronic traumatic. I can't read this the last word either. NC
is it encephalopathy?
Do you know what? Let's just call it a concussion.
Yeah, so it's something to do with concussions.
Something to do with
like-
concussions. Look, I'll stick the word up here. I honestly, I'll probably get Siri to tell me how to say it properly, but
Mm.
you know, CTE is.
No, we'll put the phonetics underneath as well.
Put the phonetics right there. It's like, it's, you know, we cut this bit here and be like, hey Siri, please tell me how to say the long version of CTE. No, but in all honesty, a lot of players have.
Yeah, I mean that's not even the nuts and bolts. Wasn't the like couple years ago, but weren't the England internationals or whatever suing the RFU for making them play on because there was less awareness about concussions during the generation they played? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Is this when Dylan Hartley went in for a tackle on a massive French prop and he hit his head right on his knee and he was knocked out, yet he still played the rest of the game?
Mm-hmm.
And then Dylan Hartley, a few years later, clarifies. He was like, during that game in the Six Nations, I don't remember anything after that hit. All I remember is standing up and getting a medal. So he played the whole game, doesn't remember exactly what happened.
Mm. And you know what's scary in that? I mean, just because you're not getting paid doesn't mean it's any less likely in the amateur level.
I think it's more likely in the amateur level.
Yeah, because I mean, having played amateur rugby, I've had 2 concussions in the space of. So I had 1 concussion, which Bo was there. I can't even tell you how that happened. We were just doing a drill, and it was with the tackle pads, and we had to follow a direction. It was to do with rucking or whatever, and then I can't tell left and right, and then I'm like thinking, oh, what's going? Like I'm tired. I'm so tired. I can't even follow directions and instructions. I'm blowing, and then like obviously, suddenly Bo goes to me, T, you okay? Like, suddenly with this look of concern. And I thought, wow, I must be performing really, really poorly.
No, it wasn't that.
That was my perception.
That was the perception of it. What I saw someone that just couldn't really follow the instructions properly.
Basic
and
instructions.
It wasn't that I was undermining. It was like, this is, you know, left and right. This is pretty straightforward. It's not like we're being told to dash 5 meters, straighten up, dash another 5 meters and straighten up. It's just, you know, and he just had this expression that he was like, he was just about to fall asleep.
And then suddenly I get, the coach calls me over. And then I'm thinking, I'm going to get a bollocking from the coach. Like, don't want that. And then like, I'm there, like, I walk to him. It feels like an age, the time, like he calls me and I approach him. And then suddenly I'm ready to hear him talk. And he goes, where are you? Are you okay? That basic questions about my directions and then like, okay, sit down. He's like, no, you can't drive your car home. You can't do this. No playing. And like, yeah, I went to the hospital. I mean, realistically, you can't really check for a concussion like the same way you can check for an X-ray. Like, can you?
You mean you can't X-ray a concussion?
You know what I mean, innit? But like
for the viewers, yeah, you know, you can't really. There are tests where you can kind of check if you've been concussed at that moment, but it's not really checking for a concussion. It's more like seeing if you have symptoms of one. Because a concussion is basically, you know, you get, like people say, that you get like your head knocked, your brain's all over the place, And doesn't matter what sport you do, head head knocking is just, if it's not a non-contact sport, you can probably get away with it. Maybe sprinting, jumping, but any sport really that has contact in it, you get a bit of a head knock. Like,
Mm.
people say that American football is pretty good for avoiding head knocks.
I
But
mean,
but if you just type in NFL highlights, biggest hits, you see these men bloody flying at each other head first, and then your response is, "But they have a helmet."
mm.
The theory of does an egg crack if it's in a box? Okay, so here's the theory: if you throw an egg at a wall, will it crack?
It's got a helmet on.
No. Okay, cool. Let's say you put an egg without a helmet on, you throw it against the wall. Will it crack?
Yeah, of course, isn't it? It's an egg.
Okay, cool. Let's say you put an egg in a box, but the box is too big for the egg.
Mm.
If you throw that box at the wall,
With the egg inside.
will the egg break?
Good analogy. I see you. What you're saying is we got eggheads.
Basically, we're all eggheads here.
No, but on a serious note, yeah. Like a quick little, not story time, but yeah, we played a game, twos, end of the season. Like just, standard like Merit League. It was the last game of the season. And I mean, I wouldn't even need for context, the Merit League is just amateur level. Like, is it in the pyramid? Is it not? I don't know. You need to ask a rugby coach. Like,
it's in the pyramid, but kind of way low down.
yeah. So
but, it's like, so it's the amateur of amateur rugby, but can't take away from it that people are still playing rugby.
no, of course not. Like, but for context, I'm talking about the level just because.
Yeah. So
So we play this game, and I was watching that day, so I watched the game, and this guy in the team, he scores 2 tries. He plays, and he has a game. He showers after the game. He goes for the man of the match, dick of the day. Goes for the night. I don't remember what he done that night, but yeah, just went for his
I
drinks.
don't think he did either.
Yeah, so this is where it gets a bit technical. So like, he puts a message on the group chat. Oh, boys, I can't remember a thing from yesterday. I just remember getting home, something along those lines. But he can't remember.
And
people
are like, haha, he just had too much to drink last night.
No, he's like, but no, I can't remember. And then someone goes, do you know who scored the tries yesterday? And he's like, I have no idea. Like, I really don't know. And then he goes, well, you scored 2 of them. And I just thought, like, I mean, like, scoring a try is, like, pretty memorable. Like,
it's like scoring a goal.
Yeah. Scoring is memorable.
Yeah,
goals, tennis, basketball.
If you ask someone what they had for breakfast a week ago, they will not be able to tell you. However, if you ask someone who plays sports and that has an active goal of trying to, gain points, how they gain those points, they can tell you if they tied their shoelaces left side first, right side first, if they touched the ball with their pinky finger and then their whole hand. Scoring is so memorable. And that's why sport is, Sport is that you have memorable moments, but then with memorable moments, you have moments like this.
And that was really worrying. That really put a lot of things into perspective. And I've played games, and I've seen some guys get smashed, head hitting the floor, whatever. Like, and I haven't even been playing rugby for that long. It's just the physicality. It's so easy to just get a knee on the head in the ruck or in the breakdown or whatever, or. But you know what? Deviating a little bit away from like the head injuries and the head trauma that one can go through is like, in amateur sport, whether it be rugby, whether it be football, whether it be anything, you get an injury, like, I don't know, you give yourself, you twist your ankle, you fold it. Like that stuff hurts. Like, it's painful, and you can't put weight on your ankle, etc. And like, that happens to like someone in like, in the Premier League, like someone gets their ankle rolled, like, I don't know, key player, what's it, Erling Haaland, twists his ankle in a match,
Oh
and
no.
then like, you know, the next day they're doing tests, they're doing scans, they're doing a lot of things. Do you know what I mean? They're doing their rehab programs.
All with the finance of the club.
You've got the physios, you got the, you know, they can get an MRI on the spot. But then you flip it over to like amateur sport and to real people.
To
Okay,
us.
to people like us.
I have story time.
And like, wait, just and like what? Getting any kind of scan in the NHS realistically.
Not saying the NHS is a bad system.
No. Far from it.
We're just saying that it's hard to do things in the NHS.
Yeah, I mean, it's overcrowded. It's packed. Like, you'll find yourself waiting 6 hours in A&E to check if you broke your leg, just to find out you didn't, or just to find out you did. But then you can't really get into the nuts and bolts of what you did, but you can't do your outlet of playing your sport. And that's when it starts to have an impact on the well-being as well, because suddenly you lose that sense of routine and purpose of playing for your club or representing on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you
feel isolated.
yeah, exactly. And then, you know, there's and you don't know when you're gonna come back or if, and as much as difficult as it can be, like, then that's when, like, you know, doubt and apprehension starts to creep in terms of coming back to play. That's when you feel upset that you might lose your spot, or you might lose. And as good as it is to like get involved off the pitch and come down and watch, like, you never feel good doing that, especially if you're injured. But sorry, story time.
Oh gosh, don't apologize. You just made me feel bad because I've been like that for like the last couple of weeks. Honestly, you know, it's great if you see your team win when you're on on the side of the pitch, regardless of your, you know, if you're injured or not, because it's your team winning. But when your team loses and you're there watching them lose, for example, let's say you're watching the grand finals of a rugby league competition where, you know, you're one of the players that before anyone gets picked, you're like on the team sheet, like, okay, he's going to play just to wear. And you get injured in a dumb game. Well, no game is dumb, but you get injured playing for like the second team, or like the reserve grade, as the boys call it, when you're a first team player, and then you just feel like kind of an idiot. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have been injured. Oh, why did I get injured? And then you start questioning yourself, and then from questioning yourself, you go into this long period of time like, I'm injured. Woe is me. I'm injured. I don't want to play the sport anymore. I'm injured. Did I mention I'm injured? And then your whole personality comes around like, I can't do this because it hurts. I can't do that because it hurts. And then your teammates will try and make you feel better by saying, oh, mate, just come down. You know, your shoulder's probably not that bad. You play that one game and guess what? It's even worse now. And then you have people nagging you in your ears like, oh, you know, you shouldn't have played. Oh, but, you know, we want the best for you, but you shouldn't have played. You're doing this, doing that. And then, like, you kind of feel inclined to nearly tell them to just F off. But you need to keep your composure.
Well, then it goes back to what you said about the coaches and, like, in this level of sport where, like, you know, you're asking players to play. You're probably contacting people that haven't played them. So let's say I've got a football team. I can barely string an 11 together, and I'm like, I've got guys that played for the club like last year or the year before. They haven't touched the ball this season. You know, please come play. We need players, this and that. And, you know, one of the sets of people they'll ask is they might put a bit of pressure for the player that's not 100% recovered to play. And that's where, like, it gets even more psychological in that way, because then you're like thinking, should I risk myself for the team? Is it worth it? But I want the best for the team. Is it the best for me? But am I being selfish? But am I not? And then you're questioning yourself, am I being soft? What is this, just a little baby injury, and like I'm just being overthinking it, and I'm capable of playing. Do you know what I mean? Because realistically, whatever your condition is, and whatever level and whatever type of exercise, physical activity that you do, I'm not even talking sport. I'm talking any physical activity, like any. you're always at risk of getting injured, and
Of
that's the
course.
reality. And there's no way of changing that or minimizing that. You go for a run, you're at risk of getting yourself injured.
You're at risk of pulling a hammy. You're at risk of hurting yourself. You know, ACL injuries.
Anything like
ACL injuries. What is it? High percentage of them. Let me just round it up. Like maybe 80-ish% of ACL injuries are non-contact. That means you don't get touched by anyone. You know, that means if you're a sprinter or if you're a jogger, if you run, you can tear your ACL, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't run. But you're still at risk. You're at risk of everything. You're at risk of life.
Yeah, I mean, life is a risk. Anything you do is a risk. I mean, it sounds a bit exaggerated, but I mean, hopefully viewers get the gist of what we're trying to say.
Do you want to hear exaggerated?
Go on.
You know you're at risk of developing cancer if you have too many bananas.
Yeah.
Do you know what the risk number is?
What?
If you have about... It's like the smallest percentile is like 0.001.
How many bananas though?
Well, to be fair, you can get potassium overdose from bananas. You can die from bananas. And do you know what that number is?
What?
I think it's about 1,000 plus bananas.
Okay, so there's a limit.
So basically, right, yes, the fact you will get potassium overdose from having 1.3k bananas. Yes, potassium overdose will get you first. That just shows, just because, there's a risk of doing it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But then again,
don't eat 1,000 bananas. Like that's a lot.
Eat it in a lifetime. Sure.
Yeah.
Eat it in a sitting.
I mean, the point is that anything you do, there's a risk of it. Whether it's minimalistic or not, the risk exists. But all this injury stuff we're talking about, it kind of because it kind of links. It goes full circle. So obviously, we're in our experiences and our cases, we're talking about rugby and we're talking about amateur rugby, rugby union and rugby league up the was. But
It was our year.
But
we were so close.
If you know, you know. If you don't, you'll know. Soon.
If you don't know, now you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Just because we're throwing the word injury around like it's the common cold, doesn't mean you shouldn't do sports.
Yeah, or any kind of exercise.
Because there's one thing that comes with doing. Okay, cool. Exercise. If you go to a gym, actually no, even running, you can join a running club, and that's the key word, club. If you play a sport, you need to go to a club, and just because there's a risk of injury doesn't mean you're gonna not play the sport. And within the sport, if you find a good bunch of boys, you get social interaction, and social interaction is one of the most positive things ever.
It's positive, and then but on the flip side, depending on the kind of groups of boys you find, it can be, or depending on yourself, it can be negative.
It could be detrimental.
I'm not like, by the way, if you're watching, listening, and you know me, I'm not throwing no shade at no one. I'm just talking how things can be, and everyone and anyone I've ever played rugby with, lovely, beautiful.
If you know me, then you know I'm definitely throwing shade at everyone that bullies me. everyone that calls me special. Everyone that says, if I wasn't playing sports, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. But the thing is, though, even though I'm insulting myself, because of the social reinforcement of my teammates, I'm smiling through it because 14 years of playing this sport, you meet so many people, and you just realize one thing: after 80 minutes, you go have a beer, a drink, anything. The boys afterwards are just lovely people, unless they're not.
But if they're not, that's part of life. Not everyone's going to be lovely, or not everyone's going to be lovely to you because...
Exactly. But that shouldn't stop you or deter you from being a lovely person.
So, obviously, sport means a lot of different things to us. And we actually got on the whiteboard, a little plan of, little things we could talk about.
Yeah, but you kind of rubbed half of them off.
Yeah, no, I was fiddling. I'm quite fiddly. I touch... fiddle. I can't keep still, me personally. That's just how I am.
If I didn't have this microphone in my hand, I would be making so much noise right now.
Yeah.
But luckily, it's like I feel like I'm holding a lightsaber.
That was. So, like, I mean, we got what sport means to us, the playing aspect, the attachment to the
Do you
organization.
know what? We would leak all this information, but that would cut this season of LIS very short. So you have to tune in next episode.
Yeah. Just on a quick one, there's a lot of things we do like to address. One being mental health and the impacts that sport can have on your mental health, or how sport can be a good outlet for your mental health if that's something you struggle with in general, sport and exercise. We're very inclusive, and we're hoping to get some really interesting people onto our little show and have some interesting conversations that will be engaging and hopefully something that we learn from talking to the guest, and hopefully something that you guys learn from listening to us talk and ramble and be our little awkward selves. And hopefully something they learn from. I hope, just a mutual benefit. But yeah, we've got plans to talk to our coaches, a couple of players, different sports, physios, teachers, people that have to balance a life, and people that can talk about experiences that we can describe, but we can't talk about it in the same way. But
yeah, of course, because if I was to get a paraplegic onto the episode, I can't talk from his perspective. He'll have to speak about himself. Same way, if I was to get someone, a female, I can't talk about being a female athlete.
Yeah, and the difficulties in sport and the difficulties that, I don't know, someone like a female rugby player may face. We can't talk about that intimately. So yeah, we're going to have some people coming on, and, as time goes, you'll get to know us a little bit as well.
So basically, that just means I need to get more equipment. I need to get another microphone. So hopefully share this to your mates. Share this to your family. If you want, do what everyone else does. You make a 31-second song that's completely blank on Spotify, and you get all your mates to play it. And, hopefully by the time the morning comes, they've played it about 1,000 times, and
you get that $1.
You get that $1. That $1. But luckily, conversion rate will get like 87 pence.
Come on,
87 pence.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure being able to talk. Hopefully we didn't ramble too much. Well, this is just us being us and us doing how we do. But as things go by, you'll learn more and hear more. Big love, everyone. Oh, that last bit was a bit awkward, but outro.
I was gonna throw a fact in.
Oh, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm rushing. Yeah, throw your fact.
I want to throw a fact in. The same way that oranges are both a fruit and a color.
Yeah.
So are lemons.
What color's a lemon?
It's a lemon colored, bro.
No, that's yellow, bro.
Have you not seen the episode?
What episode?
It's. I'll put it at the end of this video, guys. It's okay. It's okay. I'll show you.
Well, lemons are colors.
Yeah, bro.
Big facts.
Big facts. Lemons are a color, just like oranges. Cheers for tuning in, guys. Peace.
Big love. Easy.
Easy. Kaioken times 20. Ah!